This podcast is brought to you by Monkey Nut Audiobooks
Creating audiobooks, podcasts, and voiceovers
that keep people listening.
Hi guys, welcome to the Reality of Christianity. Here's our next lot of episodes. I am very, very, very happy to introduce my guest today, Max. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good.
I'm okay.
Are you
Thank
sure?
you.
We're gonna
I'm
get
fine.
through it.
I'm all good. All good. So I'm gonna ask you questions about yourself today.
Mhm.
So, firstly, thank you for coming.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Why did you come today? And tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background. Just tell us who you are and what you do.
I came for you today, Chrissy, because you walked into my
Thanks.
studio
Mm-hmm.
and asked me if I was a religious tattooist.
Yep.
And I kind of thought, well, I'm religious and I'm a tattooist. So yeah, that's probably me. I think I tattooed one of your other guests, or
Yeah.
one of my other guys tattooed
Nick.
Nick.
Mhm.
Lovely guy, really lovely guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just came in, and I think one of the things for me is to, spread the word of God. And I think we have the power to do that at every moment of life. And for you to come into my studio and ask me to do God's work, and we can do it together, how can I say no? Of course, and
know.
that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
But that's how I do life.
That's how we should do life, for sure.
I remember Nick walked into Starbucks and he said, I had a really good tattoo by this guy. He's Catholic. He's a tattooist. He tattoos people and he loves God.
Yeah,
I was like, really?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds really, really, really interesting.
you were on a mission that day.
I was on a
you walked
mission.
straight in.
I was just gonna skip past the emails and everything. Do you
I got
remember?
the personal invite. I was so happy. I was like, oh yeah. I think I was taken back. I was like, am I? I am that guy.
There were quite a few guys there, so I was like,
Yeah.
which one of you are
Oh, I
Catholic
know.
and tattooing
And
people?
I think about 4 fingers went him in the corner. And I was like, me.
I'm really glad I came across you though.
Me too. Me
No,
too.
I have heard good things about you. So,
Thank you.
like,
Thank you.
what's your background and
Mhm.
how did you get to
Mhm.
encounter God?
I'm Catholic.
Mhm.
Was brought up a Catholic, which is quite a funny thing to think back about. My mum married, well, I don't know my real dad, so let's start there.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I find my journey's been such an up and down sort of thing, but I've always looked back right now at all the sort of trauma and all the bad things that have happened in my life, and I really find peace and love and light in them to be able to make me be a better person today. So at the time, you probably don't recognize too much of it until you sort of sit back and really dissect things that have happened and go, do you know what? I've got to be equally thankful for the bad and say thank you for, look, my father left me when I was 2 years old. And as much as I grew up resenting him, as an adult man now who's about to be a father, I look at him and I say, thank you. Thank you so much for putting me through that as well, because I now know not what to do. And you've made me a better man through pain. So I had a really troublesome childhood, I would say.
Tell us more.
I was born in London.
Mhm.
Like I said, my real father left me and my beautiful sister Nicole when we were about 2, 3. My timelines aren't the best, obviously, because I was only 2 or 3.
It doesn't
So I don't
matter.
really remember. We were very young.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what he looks like. If
Mhm.
I'm honest, if I probably could walk past him 100 times and not know who he was, which is quite a sad thought.
Mhm.
But we grew up a little bit in London. Then my mum moved down to Southampton, where my nan is, and lived with my nan for quite a bit. And then my mum met her next partner. He was Catholic. And as we know, you have to be Catholic to be married to a Catholic.
Well, that's something we will go into later on.
No
because
problem.
I'd love for you to
Yeah,
explain to people, talk about the differences in our denominations.
Yeah,
or-
absolutely. So my mum went through, and obviously she had me and my sister Nicole, and we went through the church at a young age.
Mhm.
And at a young age, you don't really know what's going on. You just want to watch cartoons and eat rubbish food and sleep.
Yeah.
So I didn't enjoy it. My personal experience, I didn't enjoy church because I was being forced to go.
Mhm.
We,
What age were you?
my earliest memories would probably be around 7 or 8, I guess.
Mhm.
Going to Sunday school. Well, my mum because obviously we get separated. So the adults stay in the church. We
Mhm.
then go into a separate room and do Sunday school and learn more about God in a more child-like way, in a more school way, rather than listen to the priest where he talks about the Bible and talks about like the readings, and we don't know what's going on. So we did Sunday school for quite a bit.
Mhm.
Although my favorite part of it was the biscuits and the orange juices that we used to get. I think
I
that's the
remember
reason
that.
why I actually went all the time,
Yeah.
just to get the biscuits. And yeah, so we grew up that. My mum obviously got married to my stepfather,
Mhm.
who we didn't have the best relationship. I don't really like talking too much
I was
about
gonna say like, yeah, okay.
people and things, because I respect a lot of people's souls,
Mhm.
and I think we have the power to sort of protect and destroy people's souls with what we talk about and who we talk about it to. So I'd like, I won't say too much of the
Mhm.
personal stuff just to protect his soul, because I don't like to sit here and make it sound like he was this and he did this and that happened, because we
Yep.
all have our demons and we all struggle through. But we didn't have the best relationship, let's say. So I was asked to leave when I was about 14 years old,
Asked to
almost
leave where?
home.
Really?
Yeah, 14, 15. Um,
So they
my
kicked you out effectively,
yeah,
or
effectively, yeah, I was a pain in the bum, I won't
uh-huh,
lie.
uh-huh.
I was a lost little soul, but
But you
who
were
isn't?
14,
Yeah,
15.
who isn't?
Was it,
I
yeah,
know 50-year-old people who are lost souls and still don't have any guidance in life
yeah,
and
yeah.
don't realize their purpose. But I'm 14 years old, and I was naughty. I was very naughty.
I don't doubt it, but
Yeah.
yeah, that must
Um,
have been hard. Like regardless.
yeah, it was. It was hard, yeah. But I've survived since 14, if that makes sense. Like I've lived many different places.
Mhm.
We was like semi-homeless at one point as well. I lived with a lot of aunties, a lot of uncles.
Mhm.
Um, and you know what? I look back, at that time then, as I was just saying, you kind of you live in the moment and you really don't see what's really happening. Because I really resented my mum. I really resented my stepfather.
Is that because they kicked you out, or just the
Yeah,
whole
I
thing?
think it was just being a young man who had no guidance, and my mum,
Yeah.
bless her heart, um, that woman is an angel to me. And you really have to go through the dark times with people and with life to really appreciate the moment right now. And I tell you, there's probably two people in this world right now that I can say that are angels to me in the
Mhm.
metaphor is my mum.
Yep.
Hello, mum, by the way.
Hi, Max's
Hey,
mom.
mama. And my beautiful fiance, Danielle.
Mhm.
Angels are they come to us in so many different forms and different ways. They, don't have to have wings.
Can I just say that there is a passage in the Bible that says something like, "You'll be entertaining angels here on earth
Hmm. Correct.
every day, and
Yeah,
you wouldn't even know it."
exactly.
How amazing, though.
Fantastic. And you know what? It's God's work isn't done until heaven is on earth. And isn't that
Mhm.
fantastic to think that with those little things, like, I can look at my mum and go, "All right, you don't have wings,
Mm.
but you have a halo to me."
Mhm.
I could look at my Danielle and go, "You definitely don't have wings, but you have a halo around your head, my darling. And I see you as an angel in my metaphor of the world." And, I just look back and go, my mum, bless her heart, was really, really in an abusive relationship.
Mhm.
And again, to protect her soul and to protect,
Mhm.
us as a family unit, whether we get on or don't talk anymore, we
Yeah.
don't have the best relationship, I feel like we all have a responsibility to protect still.
Yeah.
So, I'll just leave it at that. My mum went through a lot of problems and a lot of issues, which really traumatized her and it really took her out of reality.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to let your son kind of walk out, slash leave, slash get kicked out, slash whatever it might be, you got to be in a bad place. And my mum has a beautiful heart, but
Mhm.
she was dragged down by her relationship, which is really sad.
And I will say as well, like, it's normally, I don't want to say this for all women and men,
Mhm,
but when you are a really good person,
mhm,
let's say, when you're vulnerable, when
mhm.
you have a good heart, a good soul, that's when sometimes people swoop in and
Of
try to
course.
take advantage because people can see it as a weakness.
Yeah.
So, like a lot of women that I've spoken to that have ended up in abusive
Yeah.
relationships,
Yep.
they have been the
Yeah.
nicest women.
Yeah.
And that's where,
Vulnerable people,
yeah,
unfortunately, are targets in life,
yeah,
whether it's religion, whether it's business,
yeah.
not just women, human beings, all of
Horrible.
us.
Yeah.
Good people are vulnerable because we live in really a horrible world, and there's a lot of horrible people out
hmm
there.
hmm
Equally, though, it's a fantastic world. I see the world beautiful.
We never talk
And
about that enough.
we
Like, we
don't.
never talk about the amazing things God
You,
does and
you,
the amazing people out
you will
there.
hear nothing from me but positivity, love,
hmm
and overcoming the dark side of the world. You have
hmm
to acknowledge it, to understand it, and
hmm
then to action.
Action. I totally agree.
You have to.
You have to.
You know,
Yeah.
and I feel sad for people who can't acknowledge what God puts in front of us every single day. I always think that God is not a physical thing where he comes down like we're talking right now and high fives me and says,
hmm
at 1 o'clock today, an old lady's going to fall over on the zebra crossing. A Ross Shopping's going to fall over the floor. You must be there at 12:59. Must rush over to West Key Shopping Centre because there's going to be a fire in some shop. You have to help. It doesn't work like that.
No.
We have to be spiritually awake in our mind
hmm
and in tune with love and God to
Yeah.
see the opportunities that he puts in front of us every day. And they're opportunities. With the opportunities, we have to acknowledge them, then we can action them.
Yeah.
We have to acknowledge, accept, and action. I acknowledge what that is, God. I know what you're doing. I accept it. Right, I'm ready for the challenge.
Yeah, because once you
And
know
I'm gonna action it.
Jesus, yeah, totally. I think it is our responsibility to
Mm.
take action against injustice,
Yeah.
abuse, and
Yeah.
things like that. I think I think that those are the things that God cares
Mhm.
about. And if we all just sit back and watch it and think, "Oh, that's really sad that woman's being abused."
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay, but what can we do about
Yeah.
it? Like even
Yeah.
the wars that go on. Okay, we can't stop them,
Mhm.
but if we've got
Yeah.
the capability of getting people together, maybe even providing aid,
Yeah.
or like starting up support
Love.
groups for things. Love, yeah,
Selfless love.
and I love what you say. You've got to be spiritually awake,
You have to.
because when you encounter God and
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, when you start reading the Bible, you start to see the world through spiritual
100%.
eyes. Yeah, and then so you're able to
Yeah.
actually deal with everybody, even the worst of people, with love.
It's like going to
It's
the
not
gym.
easy.
Go
Yeah.
to the people. I definitely don't go to the gym, but spirituality and God is like that. Knowledge is power, and the
Yeah.
more that you work your spiritual soul and you work your heart and you work love, you do a spiritual workout. You're only going to get stronger and you're only going to get better. And knowledge is power and key to understanding, and understanding is the key to change.
Yeah.
I look back at a lot of things and think, would I have done things different? And I definitely wouldn't have, because I wouldn't be the
Yeah.
man I am today.
Yeah. I mean, how did you deal with that happening to your mum and stuff and being kicked out? Did that not make you
So,
resentful?
Yeah, of course. As human beings, our initial emotions are to feel certain ways. If I'm gonna shout and swear at you, your initial emotion is gonna be, I'll feel upset.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to throw something at me. You might want to kick me. But that's our initial reactions as human beings. If I tell a really funny joke, I don't have a lot of them. But if I really told a funny joke, you would laugh.
Yeah.
If we watched a very sad movie or we saw something, our initial emotion is to cry.
Yeah.
So I think when we can control, it's not what you do, it's what you do afterwards that defines your character. So we can all say things in anger. We can all do things that we don't mean, getting lost in emotion. But the real testament to it is acknowledging it and going back and going, it's what we do afterwards that defines our character and who we are in God's eyes. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. There's no but. There's no you did this.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be selfless. By being selfless and having selfless love, that is the key to freedom, I think. I live it every day. I've had to go through a lot of changes. I've had to go through a lot of heartbreak, a lot of
In
loss.
what way? What heartbreak? What loss?
Just family. I have specific family members that I don't necessarily talk to anymore. Just through, I guess, I don't live in fear, I live in faith. But I also won't be a fool to let myself get hurt again and put myself in certain situations. It's kind of like the first time you do something is an experience, right? The second time you do it is the mistake. So let's experience life. Just try not to make too much mistakes.
We always do it.
Yeah.
The third time, the fourth time, the
Yeah.
fifth time, especially as Christians, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're
But
always
that's what it's
falling
all
into
about.
sin. Yeah.
But that's what it's all about. In the Bible, Jesus talks about, do not take the straight and narrow path, for we will fall
Mm-hmm.
into ignorance. We will make a lot, we'll just be ignorant to the world and love and become self-centered and whatnot. Walk that windy, thorny path.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really funny when you think about it. Walk that really windy and thorny, not just windy,
Mm-hmm.
thorny path. You're going to fall. You're going to get tired. You're going to get cut. You're going to get hurt. But do you know what? In God's name, you move forward. You only fail when you stay down.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that from Rocky or anything, don't
Mm-hmm.
worry.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
Mm-hmm.
true. I really believe that. Like the only failure in life is giving up, and we never give up. Jesus didn't give up on us. We don't give up on love ever. Love will always conquer.
But how did you get to know God, even after all of that? How did
Mm.
you? And how did you find it in you to be like selfless and forgiving? And
God's always been there with me. You know,
oh yeah.
I'm the religious tattooist, let's say, shall we? You know what the funny thing was? I know some people with some really vulgar tattoos, some really vulgar words written on them, some really silly tattoos. No judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I look at my life and I laugh because, Chris, you could point at any tattoo and I can tell you now it would be a religious one,
Mm-hmm.
or it will have some sort of meaning of love behind it. And this is before I even really found my religion again as an adult, where I
Mm-hmm.
could really understand life.
So that means you actually left your religion at some point.
Yeah, I was
and
lost.
then came back to it.
Absolutely. I was the one
What
sheep.
happened?
I was the one sheep from the 100. Jesus
Yeah.
come and got me, you know, and he uses angels and he uses people like we should be evangelists.
Mm-hmm.
We should evangelize people. We should be.
What does that mean to you? To evangelize?
We're doing it right now.
Yeah.
We're doing it right now. I'm doing it with you. I'm doing it with anybody that's listening. We are doing God's work right now. Evangelism is where we can go out and we can tell our story and bring people to God.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea how powerful our words are and how powerful that what we can do can make a change in someone's life.
We underestimate for sure.
For sure, we have the power to destroy with our words and we have the power
Yeah.
to build.
The Bible says it. The Bible
yeah.
says there is power in the words
Words.
that you speak. You can tear someone down.
And you
You
can build
can
them up.
build someone up.
And we can destroy souls. And
Yeah.
you know, the saddest thing about what we've just said is the damage doesn't, look at my mum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mentioned it earlier. The damage doesn't happen immediately and it doesn't happen in front of your eyes. You know, if you punch somebody and you punch them on the nose, say, you'll see blood immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the spiritual side of pain,
Mm-hmm.
that scars your soul. And that you can go, we could have an argument. I could say some horrible things to you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have a cuddle, high five, don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll go home,
Mm-hmm.
you lay in bed at night. Before you go to sleep, that will start playing on your mind.
Of course it would.
And you'll start being really sad, or I don't know how you feel, sad, angry, but you'll start feeling all the negative things, all the pain, because what I had said, even though I said sorry,
Mm-hmm.
has really damaged your soul. You know, we
Yeah.
scar the soul like we do with sin. You
Mm-hmm.
know, every time we sin, we scar Jesus. We scar Jesus's body. We scar what he's
Mhm.
done for us, and we
Mhm.
ask for forgiveness for the scars to be healed.
Yeah.
You know, so we just don't realize the power that we have in this world to make a change.
Mhm.
And I always say to people, I will always walk. Yes, I like to talk, but I will always walk. I will be the difference. I will be the good. I will show you how to do it. I will be it. I won't sit here and go, well, you should do this. You should do that. You know, you walked into my studio because of the
Yeah.
good that I was doing to other people.
Yeah.
How fantastic, you
No,
know?
that's really good.
You know, we have the power to be the change and the good in the world.
I think we should.
We should.
I want to do an episode just on that. Like,
We should.
why don't people take action about things? Like, there's no point. Like, I'm pretty sure the Bible says this. Either the Bible or a religious book I've read somewhere, but it says, what's the point of having God and keeping him contained,
Yeah.
but not sharing him with other people?
100%.
If you're an introvert,
Yeah.
I can understand, but
That's evangelism. That's what it
Yeah.
is. If we've got the power of God in our heart, why would we not share it?
I don't know.
Why
'Cause
would we not share happiness? Why would we not share, you know, what makes me happy? Guess what, Chrissy? It's going to make you happy in our hearts, not the shoes that I wear or the job that I do or the food that I eat,
Mhm.
but in my heart, love conquers all.
Yeah.
Love conquers all. And if I can only do what my father didn't do for me and say, son,
Mhm.
don't do that.
Mhm.
Don't do this. Do not do that. Do you know what I can do as a man right now? Is say, guess what? Do this. To anybody that wants to listen, have love in your heart, have forgiveness in your heart. It's so hard to do the right thing.
Mhm.
And it's so easy to do the wrong thing these days.
Yeah.
but your greatest reward will come from the greatest struggle. It's-
But even Paul in the Bible is like, all the things I want to do, I don't do. And all the things I don't want to do, I keep on doing.
yeah,
That's just how it works.
but we fail forward.
Oh, yeah.
We fail forward.
Or get dragged backwards. And
Never
then,
backwards.
really?
No, it's only the devil that brings us back to
Yeah.
our sin and backwards. You know, we always move forward. Even when you think you've fallen and you're taking steps backwards, you're not. If you're acknowledging that you're taking steps backwards, you're moving forward because you know where you're at.
aware. You're aware.
You know where you're
Yeah.
at. And that might be a split moment when you're like, oh, I've been here. I've been there. I've been
Yeah.
there. I've been there with drink. I've been there with recreational drugs. I've been there with silly things in life. I now don't touch any recreational drugs. I barely drink.
What happened? What turned all of that around?
Um,
How
I
did God
live-
just come back into your life?
well, I lived in, so going back to when I was 14, so I went for a period of like, let's call it sort of like couch surfing or bed hopping or whatever with family members and whatnot. And then I ended up in jail. Dum, dum, dum. I know.
Gets
The
interesting.
plot thickens, I know.
Yeah.
But you know what? I've always had love in my heart. No matter what I do, God knows my heart. I've never been a nasty person. I've never
No.
been a person of hate or revenge or vengeful.
Okay.
I was in a lot of silly situations as a young boy who had no guidance, who really needed purpose. So I hanged out with the wrong people, did the wrong things, but it gave me purpose. And even when I went into jail, gave me purpose
How do you mean?
because I felt like I was somebody. How sad is
Yeah.
that?
No, but that is true.
How sad is
That's
that?
what happens.
How sad. I have identity now, which is what is, I think, a lot is wrong with the world at the moment with kids and the newer generations, that they lack purpose.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother conversation that we can absolutely go into. But
Yeah.
for myself, I lacked purpose, and I found purpose through doing things I shouldn't do, and it ended me up in jail. And one of my biggest regrets was that my sister Nicole had her beautiful boy Connor, and I remember the screw police officer, the officers there, knocking my door and just saying, "Oi, your sister had her baby," and
Oh
I
my gosh.
cried. I
Yeah.
cried. I cried because I wasn't there to share that moment with my sister and with my family. And also I realized what I had done. Never went back to jail. I was only 17, 18, 17-ish, 18 at the time.
And you didn't have a faith anymore at this point.
No, but God was always there.
But he never leaves.
Because I had
yeah.
love in my heart. I always had love in my heart. So no matter what I did, whether I was doing something wrong or illegal or whatever it might have been, God was always in my heart. I did it because I was lost. I was the one sheep. I was the one sheep out of 100. When Jesus came back and got me and found me, left the 99. Yeah, he had to travel some distance and go through some stuff to get me here, but I'm here.
How did that happen? How did you come back? How did you find your way again after all
I
that?
moved to Australia, lived there 13, 14 years. My beautiful uncle, Simon, and my absolute, another sort of angel to me, my auntie Vanessa. He really was a father figure to me, my Uncle Simon. And I thank him just 2 days ago, I just messaged him out of the blue and just went, "Love you." And he went, "Love you more." I went, "Not possible."
That's so nice.
Because, we look at father figures in helping us in, growing up as men, I guess.
Yeah.
And he really helped me a lot. My auntie Vanessa was fantastic. She's Serbian. So I was brought into the first sort of real understanding of their Orthodox of God, you
Yeah.
know.
How do they do that?
My bubby and dada, which is grandfather, grandmother in Serbia, beautiful people, religious people, and how can you not love love? Do you love
Yeah.
love?
Yeah.
Who
for sure.
doesn't love love? I love love. And they loved me more than I could ever. It's the most powerful love. They're my family.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we focus on, resenting things and resenting the family that we've got,
Yeah.
and we ignore them and don't acknowledge the family that we've created. I look back in Australia and just,
Yeah. Where was
they-
your turning point?
just going to church all the time, and
So you started going to
super
church?
religious. They have their Saint Day, Slava, which is all like Saint Days, and then we have massive parties, and it's like Christmas Day again.
Okay.
But they worship, well, don't worship, but they really venerate the saints. They love
Mhm.
their saints over there. And obviously Christmas. I think the Orthodox Christmas is the first week of January. I think it's the 7th or the 4th. I'm not sure. So I was pretty lucky. We
Mhm.
used to have 2 Christmases.
Okay.
The 25th and then the 7th or whenever it was.
I didn't even know that, so that's all
yeah.
new to me.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Orthodox Christmas. So Orthodox work on a different timeline to what Christians or Catholics do anyway.
Yeah.
So they
Okay.
have a different
Mhm.
timeline. And that really put my toes back into Christianity. And I was thinking, wow, these guys are amazing.
Okay.
All the network, people who didn't even know, hundreds of people would turn up for christenings and wow,
Okay.
this is God's work. So that's when I first really started getting back in and I was starting to get religious tattoos and all sorts,
Mhm.
and God was always there with my tattoos, which is the funniest thing. I look back and go, wow, I've got a Jesus on my shin, which I think was probably 13, 14 years ago.
Mhm.
You were there. You were
Mhm.
here with me.
Mhm.
One of my first tattoos that I got was love will conquer all. No, actually, sorry. Love will conquer all here.
Mhm.
And that's our beautiful Virgin Mary there. Love will conquer all. Uh, I was a lost soul back then, but
Yeah.
God was always there talking to me.
Mhm.
This one is for my guardian angel, which I've got here. Through the darkness, I will guide you.
Mhm. Yeah.
I can't even, I can't even put it into words how amazing that is. That God's been there, giving me all these signs and all these. I'm
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
I'm here.
So subconsciously, even your
I'm here.
tattoos were
Everything.
Yeah.
My neck, my ears, the back of my head,
Mhm.
everything has a story of love behind it.
Yeah.
And I look back and just laugh and go, I always look up and go, you have always been there. You've
I
always
bet that
been
must
there.
feel good.
Fantastic. Because like I
Yeah.
said, I know some people with some really silly tattoos.
Mhm.
No judgment.
No,
But like,
each to their own,
it's just like,
obviously. But this is your story,
why,
isn't it?
dude? Like, but I could have been that guy.
Yeah.
I could have been that guy. And I could have been sat now going, good thing I bought a tattoo laser removal machine. You know what I mean? I'd be zapping away at myself. But yeah, so did that. Had a really great life over in Australia. Moved to New York,
Yeah.
which is where things really took a turn
How do you
for the
mean?
worst.
Oh, tell me.
So I've referenced a few times that you have to walk through, the darkness to
So
sort
you'd
of
gone
find the
back
light.
to God in
Yeah,
Australia,
yeah,
gone to New York,
yeah.
and what happened
Do you know
there?
why?
No.
Because I was in control.
Okay. Tell
I
us
had
more.
the answers. I knew what was best. I wanted to do this.
Mhm.
I wanted all the money. I wanted all the ego. I wanted Mr. New York, Mr. LA,
Yeah.
and it was.
I can see why. I can see that would be
Yeah,
really tempting.
it was. I was there for 4 or 5 years. My memory doesn't serve me really well, but it was around 4 or 5 years I was there. Fantastic opportunities out there, and we did some amazing things. But now that I'm spiritually awake, I look back and go, whoa, my God.
Okay.
I was in such a dark place, a lot of abuse over there, self-abuse with, drink, recreational drugs,
Yeah.
money,
Yeah.
the root of all evil.
Yeah. But did that not enrich your life? Because when you're not seeing things from God's perspective, you just thrive off these things. And
Absolutely.
you get your happiness from these
Absolutely.
things.
What a superficial life. But it can be really fun.
Yeah.
But you get lost.
Yeah.
And that's the devil's plan, isn't it? To
But you're
distract
just
you.
always looking for more and more and more.
How can you monitor something that is unmonitorable? Money, alcohol,
Yeah.
drugs, women, all the crazy things in life that we tend to abuse and not love.
Yeah.
I look back and I went for a really dark patch at the end of New York, and it's such a place of abundance where everything is completely at your fingertips in an abundance. It doesn't sleep. We had a place in LA as well. So we had an apartment in Manhattan, lived in Manhattan, and then we had a place down in downtown LA
Yeah.
where we would work from. So I was always traveling. Super, super fun.
Yeah, I bet.
And that's the devil's job, isn't it? It's his job to keep us away from God.
Okay, well, did that keep you away from God then?
I didn't even know who God was back then.
Okay.
It was just such a, I was too focused on me.
Yeah.
And that's when things go wrong.
What went wrong?
Well, it all goes wrong when we take our eye off God.
Oh,
when
yeah.
we don't have God at the center of what we do and in our hearts, and we don't think like God and be God-like, which is our calling.
It's so easily done as well. Even if you've walked as a Christian for ages, which I have, as soon as I take my eyes off God, and go into my own
Yep.
thing.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
easy to
Yeah.
just lose
Yeah.
sight of him.
I'm in control, not you, big
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
I'm in control, big man.
Mhm.
Guess what?
Yeah.
The crash comes.
It's so important that we make it a daily thing. It's not easy.
Jesus, take the wheel. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying. Jesus, take the wheel. I had a Jesus take the wheel moment in New York.
Yeah.
I met some fantastic people. You know, someone that I don't really talk to too
Yeah.
much
Okay.
anymore. It was an ex-partner of mine,
Mhm.
Lucy,
Mhm.
and her mum Maria.
Yeah.
Phenomenal people,
Let's go into that a bit more.
phenomenal characters, phenomenal Catholics, and not saved my life. Ultimately, God saved my life, but He sent conduits. He sent these angels into
Trust
my
me,
life.
he does things
I
through
know.
people too. Yeah.
We are the
for
conduit.
Sure. Yeah.
We're the conduit,
Mm.
just like Jesus was.
How did they save you? What happened?
Very long story short, had a lot of love from Lucy,
Mhm.
who prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed for me when I was in my darkest moments.
How did you find that? Seeing your partner praying
She wasn't my
when
partner. She was
was she
my friend at the
your
time.
friend? Yeah.
How beautiful.
Ah, yeah.
Again, it goes back to we don't realize the power that we have or what we do can affect someone's soul.
But that's the thing, because when I start to pray for some people, they just think you're crazy.
No,
You're
why?
crazy.
I'm here because of you.
Yeah.
I'm here because of you, because you
Mm.
prayed. You prayed this, and I couldn't make it. I've had to move clients this morning and didn't think I could,
Yeah.
but God made it happen because you prayed with other people as well. That please, not in an ego way. Please let Max come. You know, I'm nothing special, but you know, please let it happen. If
Yeah.
it's not your will, if it's your will, let it be your way.
Yeah.
If it's not, high fives. We'll make it another time whenever is good. But because we put that faith into God instead of going, you know, I'm going to take control of the situation. I'm going to
Mhm.
do it my way. You know, you
It's
have
so
to accept.
tempting. Yeah.
You have to accept that things are not in our control, and we have
No.
to equally accept the bad
Mhm.
equally happily as the good.
That I can't do that.
Yes, you can.
You're so good at doing that,
You
though.
can.
You said that to me the other day. But
Yeah.
I'm more throwing my toys out the pram
No,
when
and
bad
that's
things
fine.
happen, because I just think, I don't know, sometimes you get carried
Yeah.
away. You think, oh, I'm a
Yeah.
child of God. Why is the bad thing
Yeah.
happening to
Of
me?
course.
That should be happening to normal
Yeah.
people
It's
who don't
okay.
have faith.
It's okay to throw your toys out the
Mm.
pram, but what did we say earlier? It's
Mhm.
not what you do, it's what you do after
Yeah.
that defines your character. If you can realize that you're throwing your toys out of the pram,
Which I do. I always do.
I do as well.
Yeah.
I do as well. You
And
know,
not for everything, but some
but
things.
every single time I learn a little bit more in going, I'm not going to get myself in that situation to throw my toys out my pram. I like my pram. I like my toys. I'm keeping
Yeah.
them in here. So I learn a little bit more every time, just to be a little bit better than I was yesterday, to
Mhm.
be greater tomorrow
Mhm.
through my actions and what I do.
So when this lady was praying for you, what did anything start to
Yeah,
happen?
absolutely.
What happened?
I was in a really dark place. I've never suffered from mental health or any sort of mental
Mhm.
illness.
Mhm.
I've never been suicidal.
Mhm.
I can understand it.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. I've never contemplated doing it, but I sort of like went into a mind or a space where you can understand it,
Oh yeah.
you know?
And a lot of us have been there at some point.
That
I'm
was
sorry.
scary.
For anyone who tells me I've never had a day that bad,
Mm,
you're just super lucky,
mm,
because most people have been
yeah,
there. If something really bad,
yeah,
even like grieving
yeah,
or the loss of someone
yeah,
that really meant
yeah,
someone that meant something to you.
yeah.
Don't tell me you haven't gone to such
Mm,
a dark place, because
mm,
it does happen.
mm,
Throughout life, you go through so
yeah,
many ups and downs.
yeah,
I think that people are in denial, or
yeah.
I think they don't like to
Well,
admit.
I think a lot of people don't. Again, what we're talking about is like acknowledging what's in front of you sometimes and
Yeah.
accepting it and then actioning it. You know, we can be like away in cloud nine, or we can be so
Yeah.
caught up in
Yeah.
our own life and our own sort of bubbles that we don't realize what's going on around and outside. And
So when
then,
you go to that really dark place, what
yeah,
happened then?
I we just really didn't. I didn't realize I was in the dark place until I knew
Mm,
I could see the light,
mm.
and I was
How
like,
did you see the light?
just through prayer, just through
Really? Well,
prayer
what
and
started
asking.
happening?
Just my perception of life started changing. I didn't want to do certain things no more, and I started to find control in my life, which I didn't have. I had an abundance of money in New
Mhm.
York. I
Mhm.
was earning great money.
Mm.
I was around great people.
Yeah.
I was working with people like Jason Derulo. You know, I launched Jason Derulo's brand with my boss at the time, Brian,
Okay.
across America. You know, in Bloomingdale's. You know, so we were really put up on these pedestals of like, we're something, we're nothing. You know, and then you get lost in this
Really?
whole monogamous lifestyle of accessibility to everything and anything. I've got a pair of shoes I love. I want 5 more. I drive a nice car. I want a nicer car. I got a watch. I want a nicer watch. You know, you just get lost in what you want.
Oh, yeah.
And I did. Anyway, going back to finding the light was literally when I started looking at life and going, you know what? I'm in a routine here and I have to break my routine. I have to do everything the opposite of what I'm doing right now for change and for spiritual realization. And
Yeah.
God can help me with this. And He did.
So you chose to cooperate with God.
Yeah. Take the will. Take the will.
Did you try praying at that time?
I
or-
was praying and it
You
changed.
were?
It changed. God took my burden. You know, a lot of people, I started going to church in New York.
You did?
Yeah, absolutely. In the
Wait,
last,
just one
listen,
day? Like,
fantastic churches in New York. You know, I when I started really grabbing hold of my life, I started to give thanks. And I would go to church. Being Catholic, I go to confession.
Did
I
that
can't
help?
tell you how liberating and spiritually cleansing confession is.
Okay.
We
Because
say-
Protestants, like, let's say we will have an episode where we will talk about denominations. Because Protestants mostly, and I may be wrong here on some accounts, but we confess to each other.
Yeah.
Or we
There's nothing
confess
wrong
to
with that.
Jesus. Yeah, but and you guys, as Catholics, you confess to, is it the priest?
But we confess to
Or-
God,
to God,
with
yeah.
the priest.
With the priest, yeah.
If my house is flooded
Mm-hmm.
and the toilets are overflowing, the sinks are pouring out of water, I'm going to call a plumber.
Yeah.
I'm going to call a plumber and go, Mr. Plumber, what do I do here? And tell me what I do to make it not happen again. Tell me how it's happened and what can we do to not, you know, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, here's some money. Thanks for helping me. That's kind of like how it is with confession that, you know, why would you not seek the guidance of someone so close to God? Why would you not? You don't confess to a priest. You need to forgive me, priest. No. You know, we make an act of contrition. We talk like we talk to our friends and family.
Yeah.
And mothers, Mum, I feel so bad. I did this. I did
Yeah.
that. You know, and then the priest will say, you know, Max, a saint did this and a certain person went through this and this is how they got through it. You know, always think about this in your heart and, you know, try not to do it again and think about things differently when you do get in those situations, etc.
So he was like a mentor as well.
That's
to
why
you.
we call it. That's why we call priests fathers, because
Yeah.
fathers. It's not because we see them as our father.
Yeah,
God
of
is our
course.
father. We
Yeah,
are
of
His
course.
children. A father teaches us. You know, he's responsible for teaching. That's the highest of the male sort of form on this earth.
Yeah.
Being a father,
Yeah.
teach us. You know, so you know he's teaching me how to say sorry to God properly.
Well, that's amazing. So you started
it
going
is.
to confession and it was liberating, which I can imagine it
People-
would be. And then what happened?
People say, "Oh, I felt a weight lifted off my shoulder." It's not. God takes your burden off your shoulder. When you go in and it's humility that really opens up your heart to change. When you feel that humility and saying to somebody,
How do you describe humility?
humility for me is facing your fears, but also being brave enough for change. So in his example, like when we talk about confession, I don't know this guy. I don't know you. I know you're a man of God. I know that you're close to God.
So you have to be vulnerable.
You have to be super vulnerable. I'm telling you all my sexual sin. I'm telling you my
Yeah.
sexual thoughts.
My crimes,
yeah,
my
yeah.
life,
I don't know you.
Mhm.
I don't know who you are, but I have faith in you.
Yeah.
Because
That's so beautiful.
It's beautiful. And the humility comes from telling people your most personal
Yeah.
things that you've done wrong.
Yeah.
Hey, Chrissy, it's easy to go. It's so easy to go, guess what I did today?
I know.
I did this.
Yeah.
Guess what I bought today? I did this.
Yeah.
It's so hard, like I said earlier on, it's so easy to do the wrong thing, but it's so hard to do the right thing. It's so hard to talk about doing the right thing. It's so hard to talk about, right, if I talk about my sexual sin, if I talk about the XYZ that I've done, it's really embarrassing.
Yeah.
The people I've hurt, what I said, what I thought,
Yeah.
really embarrassing. Really,
I struggle with confession, to be honest, because
Yeah.
when I go to, there are certain things I
Yeah.
will never confess to people about because I think I'm not at the place where I can be that vulnerable with
Do it.
anyone.
Do it.
I know.
Honestly,
It's such a tough thing to do. I
sin is
confess it to Jesus.
yeah.
Like, look, for me, it's enough that I've got that
True.
personal relationship with Jesus. I confess it to Him. We're forgiven, right?
Yeah.
Burdens removed.
Yeah.
But the Bible does encourage us to confess to someone.
You know what? When I moved back from New York, went into tattooing with my sister Nicole. One of my ex girlfriends walked into the studio. I won't use her name. She came in, and I had this overwhelming fear because I had cheated on her
Okay.
when I was a lot younger.
Okay.
A lot younger. Okay. And I didn't, I had this overwhelming feeling at that moment I was really had a relationship with God. And she walked in and I pulled her aside and just went, I need to apologize to you. I'm so sorry. I know what I did was wrong. You did not deserve that. And she kind of brushed it off. Oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. Okay, cool.
Is that because you'd encountered God at that point?
Yeah, because I was looking for forgiveness. God was talking to my heart through love in setting people free. It's easy to talk about things that we want to do, but it's hard to action them and make a difference and be the difference in the world.
Hard. And then what happened when you
so
apologized?
She brushed it off, sort of thing. Yeah, great, fantastic, awesome. Was at home later in the evening, and I get a text from her. Thank you so much for what you did today. You set me free. You have no idea how much you hurt me. You have no idea what I've been through in my life with men after you did what you did to me. To know that it wasn't me, you have set me free.
Amazing.
And that is a blessing. That's a miracle. They're the miracles that we need to push for every single day with the power of what we have in our hearts to traject that out from inside, internal to external. What we feel, make it action it.
And it's so amazing because when you went to God for forgiveness, you then went to someone else for forgiveness. So it's just like
it's a domino effect.
It is a domino effect. It sets you free, sets them free.
100%.
Yeah.
And then, yes, I went on a rampage after that. Everybody was getting a message. I'm so sorry I did this. I'm so sorry. People just thought I was
lot
crazy.
To say sorry for, yeah.
And but the key thing is selflessness.
God inspires us to be selfless.
Selflessness. I didn't do it for me to feel good about myself.
I'm sure you didn't.
I didn't do it for any gain for myself. I wanted you to know that I'm sorry and it's not your fault. And God talked to my heart and made me do that.
Yeah.
And it changed my life. It was kind of like, you can confess to God and it's quite easy to go, oh, God, forgive me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll go and do it again. God will forgive me. Okay, go.
So when you say sorry to God, like, how do you know? What do you put into place to make sure you don't do that thing again?
I don't necessarily do that all the time. But what I mean is, like, a lot of people I know use it as a hall pass. Oh, I've done it. God will forgive me. God will forgive me.
Use it as a hall
God will
pass.
forgive me.
Yeah.
So that's where humility comes into it. When you feel humility of talking to someone you don't know about your deepest, darkest naughties, and then you confront someone that you've really hurt, to live in fear, to live in faith and not fear, and say to somebody to their eyes that you've individually, personally hurt, I'm sorry, please forgive me. That's humility.
That's courage too.
Humility is one of the biggest tools in Catholicism. Being able to be vulnerable enough to go through that emotional confrontation, to change.
Actually, all across Christianity, I think. Honestly. And I can't speak for every other faith because I don't know every other faith, let's say, but I do know, I think someone said that the Bible I think Christianity is the only faith that tells you to love your enemies.
Yeah, sure.
Forgive them and love them.
What bigger power do we have than love?
Yeah.
If you have a fire that connects with another fire, you have an inferno. An inferno will roar and destroy. Let's be like the Holy Spirit. Let's be the water. Let's be the air. Let's put that fire out with love. Let's put it out. Don't create an inferno by fighting fire with fire. Let's be the water. Let's be the air. Let's be like the Holy Spirit. Let's take the oxygen away from it. Because you won't beat me. You won't beat me. You won't beat me by being horrible. You won't beat me by trying to be deceitful. You won't beat me by being vengeful. You know, I look my adversaries in the eyes and say, you won't beat me. You know, I have love in my heart. I've won.
If you really have God, then yeah, you have.
I've won.
Did you find it then through that time? So after you'd encountered God, went on this rampage, asking for
Yeah.
forgiveness, were you able to forgive your enemies?
Absolutely.
Really? I
Let-
find that hard.
Let me tell you something, right? Again, I live in a very 50-50 world. So I live in a very spiritual world, 50, and I live in a very physical world, 50.
Yeah.
So a secular world is where we can touch, smell, we can see things, and a lot of the world lives in that world, and they're so oblivious to the spiritual power
Yeah.
that's in this world that we don't acknowledge it until that we know it's there. We kind of get a little bit, well, it's not there. It's not, can't be real. That's faith. I have faith
Yeah, sure.
in what I believe and what I love. The physical world's so easy. We get so lost in it. We can touch, feel, smell. It's there. I look at it and go, you know what? I can forgive you spiritually in my heart for things you've done to me, but you will not break bread at my table.
Yeah.
I think it says it in the Bible. Along those lines, you can forgive, but you do not have to break bread at the same table. I forgive so many people for what they've done to me.
There are so many abusers out there who their victims have to forgive them. It doesn't mean they'll be hanging out like best friends. And I think a lot
Exactly.
of Christians get this twisted. Like, just because you forgive someone, God isn't asking you to be best pals with them or hang out
You
with
don't
them.
have to break bread with them at the same table.
You don't have to.
But I'll tell you what, if you need it, I'll throw you some.
Exactly.
Pick up the phone.
If you can reconcile and you've worked out how to do that, by all means do it. But
if you are truly of love, love is forgiveness. Love is kind, love is patient. Yeah? Corinthians. So we have to look at life in a sense of it's easy to do things that are easy.
yeah.
And it's hard to do things that are hard. Is it easy for me to forgive someone who's really hurt me? No. It's hard.
That's something I'm currently working through.
Yeah, it's hard. But the greatest rewards come from the hardest trials and tribulations of life. They just do. Life is not easy. Life is hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
You know,
so is Christianity. I just want to say. It's not for the faint-hearted.
Christianity is life.
Yeah.
It is life. God has to be at the center of everything that we do. Even when we fail, we know God is there.
It's hard, but I would say it's the only thing worth doing.
Of
honestly,
course.
so if I had nothing, I'd still hold on at the one thing. If you've got God,
If you have nothing, again in the secular world,
yeah,
but you have God in your heart, you have everything.
that's what I'm
You
saying.
have everything.
Yeah.
You have everything. Everything and more.
How's it been for you now that you've come back from Australia, LA? You know, for your mates now who knew you back in the day, to see how bold are you about your faith?
Love it.
Are you courageous enough to meet your mates now
100%.
and be like, "Hey guys, I love Jesus"?
I'll tell you now, you will not come into my studio. Oh, you did. You actually came to my studio. You did not leave without a gift.
I did what it took. Yeah. But
Well, no, the second time you came in, I gave you a couple of gifts.
yeah, you did.
It was a beautiful picture. A Virgin Mary statue, Our Lady of Fatima, and what was the other one I gave you?
Angel.
A beautiful angel. Anybody that comes into my studio, comes into my life, if I've got something on me, it's yours. Because the giving of love and the giving of knowledge and power is what we have. We have to be the difference. I can give someone a little tiny prayer card. They might have road rage. An hour later, they're sat there. They want to get out the car and kick 10 barrels out of somebody. They're looking for their phone. They pull out the prayer card. Okay, love that. Okay, I'm gonna get back in my car.
Yeah.
We don't realize. Again, we talked about it earlier. We don't realize the power of the domino effect of love.
Yeah.
Love thy neighbor. Love your enemy, because you might be the change in their life.
So you are quite bold about it to your
100%.
friends. Really?
100%.
How do you feel about this going out there and everybody knowing, hey, Max Scoopion's a man of God? Or
I'll shout it from the rooftops.
that really surprises me.
Why?
I don't know.
Are you joking?
No, because some people just are not very open about their faith
But
because
I
of the
live in
image they want to portray to other people, especially if they went through a lifestyle like I know I did when I was really not a Christian.
yeah, I've been there.
Now I'm right, I've done a 360 and now I'm like this really
Yeah.
faithful Christian, let's say. And then people sometimes don't believe it when they meet me now. They're like, you can't surely be a Christian.
Do you truly believe something truly if you deny it to the ones that you love the most?
Well, you shouldn't. I think it's a journey, though. I think that at the beginning, when I became a Christian, and people were like, "You can't become a Christian. You've done so many bad things."
That's the devil's work.
Yeah, but then I think it takes it's like a journey until you start to be bold about it, and you're like, "I'm not going to be ashamed. I'm
Of
not going.
course,
I'm
it's
going to be bold."
liberating.
Yeah, but you really have to get that. You really
And
have to have that intimacy with God to really
yeah.
know God deep.
And you know what I've learned through doing that?
Mm.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah,
I used to have so many friends. I still have friends,
yeah,
but I have quality people in my life now.
yeah. That's so
I have
important.
quality people in my life. I don't have quantity. I used to have quantity. That brings confusion. That brings a lot more fingers in a pie.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. It brings a lot more opinion.
Yeah,
If people aren't on the same page as you, how do you expect them to, understand you?
yeah.
You know,
Oh, totally.
what we have when we love God is such a special thing.
Such a special
It's
thing.
such a
It is.
special thing.
Mhm.
It's something that we can share with people like we talked about before. And you can deny, you can, I said it to you before, because who doesn't love love?
Yeah,
Show me someone who doesn't love love.
yeah. That's what surprised me, Max, because I was actually so surprised at the friendships I've been able to keep after becoming a
Yeah,
Christian.
true friendships.
But yeah, even though they were like, let's say, the people I thought would leave my life after I've become a Christian, but actually because Christianity can bring love to them, light to them, so
Course.
actually they end up sticking with you,
Yeah.
even though they're so far from God themselves. So I was
For
really
sure.
surprised at the people that stuck
Yeah,
around.
and they're there for a reason. Let me tell you, there's
Yeah.
polar opposites in this world.
Mm.
There's good, there's bad. There's
Mhm.
love, there's hate.
Yeah.
There's heaven, there's hell. There's
Mhm.
God, there's the devil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's always the polar opposites. Be very aware of who your opposites are.
Yeah.
Learn from them, help them, and celebrate with, the people that are on the same page as you.
Totally.
But just be so aware of, you have to find balance in everything.
I think so too.
You really have to understand both sides
Oh
before
yeah.
you can truly. So I have studied a lot on like exorcisms, demonology,
Mhm.
just the occult stuff
Yeah.
for knowledge.
Yeah.
Like I said before, it's like a boxing game, a
Mhm.
boxing fight.
Spiritual one, yeah.
I have to study my opponent. Chrissy, me and you are going, and we're going for a
Yeah.
fight. All right. I'm going to get all the tapes I can and get all the knowledge I can about you, and going, how do I defend myself? How does she attack? How does she move? Oh, she's done that sly one again.
Spiritual warfare.
Spiritual warfare.
That's such a real thing.
Spiritual warfare. But if you don't understand your enemy, how can you beat your enemy? And then in
Yeah.
turn, how do you have balance in life if you don't have both ends of the story, both ends of what's happening?
Yeah.
You have to understand to have balance in anything in life. Business, friendship, love.
Yeah.
We can have the scales of balance. It's okay to go up. It's okay to go down. Keep that
Yeah.
balance.
Mhm.
As soon as you go like that,
Yeah.
the balance is gone.
Yeah.
You can't have too much God, but you have to understand that God is the pinnacle of everything that you do.
God is there for you to take him to people.
Correct. Evangelism. We are the word. We are the people. We are
Yeah.
God. We are the church.
Yeah.
So you have to understand, if you really want to make a difference, what you need to defend yourself against and how they
Yeah.
work. See the signs. See that right hook coming. See
Yeah.
the jabs. Move out the way and counter.
Mhm.
I'm going to counter you with love. I'm
Yeah.
going to beat you with love.
Yeah.
I'm going to beat you with God.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
we do get spiritually attacked as well. Like
Every
I
day.
knew leading up to this podcast, me and my friends who were praying for it, we didn't sleep like the whole week. Like
Yeah.
all of us text each other one night and we were like, none of us
Yeah.
are sleeping. And we
Why?
were getting nightmares. Well, sick. And if you say this to non-Christians, they
I've
will
been
just think
there.
you're totally crazy because this is how the devil works.
Keeps you
Yeah.
down.
He
Doubt.
keeps you down
He's
with
the biggest trickster.
anything.
He's a liar.
Yeah.
He's deceitful. He will make you doubt yourself.
And he'll put obstacles in the way of you doing
Yes.
anything good.
100%.
So I want people to be equipped and prepared when they come into Christianity.
Yes.
These things
Yeah.
can happen.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
have it any other way because I love God. I
Yeah.
love being a Christian. Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
so worth it. But you do get attacks
Of course.
from the other spiritual
But
side.
I've been in so many situations we could probably do a 5-hour podcast on with spiritual attacks that I've been through physically witnessed, been attacked by demons, had to go and
It
see
happens, you
had
know.
to go and see an exorcist at one point. Father Peter Glass, who was in Reading, it got that bad. we weren't possessed or anything, but there's different levels of possession.
There's
So
spiritual warfare.
spiritual warfare, and the stronger you are, the stronger you are, the bigger the prize you are to the devil. He'll fight for you. If you, it's like Catholicism, Catholics, Christians that say are the biggest bully in the playground. We're the biggest bully in the playground because
What do you mean by that?
because we're the biggest target. Yeah,
Okay.
we're the biggest target. If we get bullied by a group of people, I was always taught anyway, go for the big one. You go for the big one, the rest of them fall.
Yeah, Christians have
Christians-
a purpose in life. They certainly do.
Yeah.
And the enemy's doing everything to try and stop it. By the
Go for
enemy,
the
I
big
mean
one.
like the devil.
Yeah, that's why Catholics get so persecuted all the time. And I get it. I totally get it. Because we're the big ones. We're
And-
the big ones. We're the
yeah.
ones with the biggest mouth, the biggest weight,
Okay.
the biggest hats, whatever you want to say. Go for the big ones. Once they go, everyone else goes. Don't worry about it. So with spiritual warfare, it's you have to be so spiritually equipped again to understand how they
Yeah.
work, to defend yourself against it.
You just have to read the Bible and it tells you how the devil looks at Christians and how Christians
It's
should
the
fight.
greatest
Yeah.
blueprint to life. It's the greatest love story ever written.
I'd
and,
encourage anyone to read it.
and we're still living in it right now. How
Yeah.
amazing is that? Is there ever been a book written
Mhm.
that we are still a part of it?
Yeah.
It hasn't ended. We're in Revelations
and
right
it's
now.
still coming true.
It's still happening right now. Things are
Revealing
aligning.
before us, yeah.
It was prophesized. We're there. What's going to happen afterwards? I don't know.
I don't
But
know
I
how
know
people
what's
can read the
happening now.
Bible and not be transformed as
Yeah,
well. Like,
but I think it can be very daunting to read the Bible because you don't read it like a
Totally.
book from beginning to end.
no,
You just
I
don't.
didn't. I didn't.
I've got a friend at the moment, a very dear friend, Dan. His name's Dan Miller. He's such a great soul.
Hey,
Honestly.
Dan.
Hey, Dan. He's actually at the studio down at Southside. He's absolutely brilliant. What a fantastic soul that boy is. And he is going on a spiritual journey at the moment. And I bought him his first Bible. Dan, here's your Bible. Okay, Max. I'm reading the Bible backs. Very repetitive. I don't understand how to digest things. Dude, read the New Testament first. It's very relatable to what we're going through
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
You open up a bit more of your heart and your eyes to what's actually gone on. Go back and then read certain parts of the Old Testament. You don't have to read it from beginning to end like a novel.
No,
You
I
know.
think Bible study really helped me. I
There you go.
sat down one-on-one with someone who knew
Yeah.
their Bible and I was
Yeah.
like, study it.
Yeah.
When you actually study the
Yeah.
Bible, it opens so many doors.
It's
like,
such a fantastic love
that's
story.
amazing.
And as we know, Jesus talked in parables, Jesus talked in stories, and we have to find the meaning of love in it.
mhm.
Just because he says, I think it's your eye or your hand, if you cut off one, if you're still with one, cut off the other or something like that.
In Mark,
That
yeah.
doesn't mean physically go and cut your
Mhm,
hands off.
mhm.
There's a beautiful meaning and a metaphor behind everything Jesus did.
Yeah.
And we have to find what that is for us. It might be
Yeah.
different for you, it might be different for me. But in love, we
Mhm.
will find the answer. If we do everything in love, we will always win.
Yeah.
We've already won.
Can't go wrong, can you?
You can't go
really?
wrong. We've already won.
And one last final question.
we
We've
go.
reached our time. One final question. You're a tattooist. You're a Christian.
Yes.
Is there controversy? Do you get how do you explain that to people?
I'm lucky because I have everything is religious on me. Everything is religious. God was there before I even was getting tattoos. Love was in my heart.
Mhm.
So I have a friend who's a priest, Father Jaya. He's now in India. We used to be very, very close. Still are now. He FaceTimes me all the time.
Mhm.
And he rang me one time and said, Max, I had a dream about you last night. I was washing my hands and God came to me in the mirror and said, you need to become a priest. At that time, I was going through a lot of stuff in my life. And I was like, I do need to become a priest. I need to do this. I need to do this. I spoke to the priest at my church,
Mm.
and he was like, I don't know if you can do it because you need to be clean from your neck upwards. There's no issues with technically having tattoos, but you have to be clean from your neck upwards. You can't just have things from your collar. So that kind of put a downer on everything. So I did try and pursue it, but there's so many different ways that I can be big part of God's church. He said to me, Max,
Oh yeah.
you are so relatable to an audience that we cannot reach. The
Mhm.
young guys, the young kids, the middle-aged men. They don't want to listen to old men screaming doctrine and Bible verses and this and that. You can affect people by what you are doing. You're a tattooist. You dress cool. I mean, I just dress the way I dress. I don't dress because I think I'm cool. I
It's
just
your
dress the
style.
way
Yeah,
I
I get
am.
it. I get it.
And kids will look up to you and go, "Wow, you believe in God?
Mm-hmm.
You believe in God?"
Because we shouldn't
So
look at
I
someone's
do that,
outward appearance.
but we do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
but we
and
do.
I get the
but-
weirdest looks in church sometimes. I do. I go
And
in,
I hate that, you know?
but you know what? Even in Christianity, human beings are a funny thing. You know, we
are the ones who are not supposed to judge.
but we do, because we get lost sometimes with who we think. You know, if I'm pointing one finger at that person, there's no.
It makes me greater.
There's no fingers pointing at me. Well, guess what,
Exactly.
honey? There's 3 pointing back at you. Let me tell you. So we have to accept people for who we are, and if we've got love in our heart and we move forward together in unity with God, we have won.
And I
Don't
think, again,
judge me.
it depends, obviously, how you read the Bible and
Yeah.
interpret that for yourself as well, with tattoos and things as well. So
Yeah.
that's each to their
Yeah.
own how they wish to interpret
Yeah.
that, or what they see from
Don't judge me
themselves.
on what you see on the outside. Judge me what you see in my heart, because I promise you, you'll love it.
Amen to that.
Amen, sister.
Right.
Yeah.
Max, you'll probably be a guest, I'm sure, in the
Yeah.
really near future.
For sure. Get me on. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's been so good to
Yeah.
have you here.
Awesome.
Many more subjects to cover.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you as my guest.
Oh, it's been a pleasure being here.
Long time coming.
And we will keep this relationship growing. We
Absolutely.
are God's messengers. We are the
Yeah.
word. Let's keep moving forward. Just one last thing before I go.
I was going to say, any last things you
Yes.
want to say to your guest, like
Yes.
audience? Or
Be the difference in the world, guys. Please. We have
Please.
the power to cuddle. We have the power to kiss, to forgive, to smile, to help, to just be the difference in the world.
We have the
don't
power to move
realise-
nations as well.
We don't realize the power that we have with love. If you move
Yeah.
in love, you will move in victory. With God in your
Yeah.
heart. Just the smallest things, you don't know what it can do to somebody's soul. A smile, a high five, let me hold the door open for you.
Start with the
a-
small stuff.
If you accumulate a lot of small stuff, it eventually gets very big.
Yeah.
We
You can
don't-
save someone's life.
We don't have to go for the big dog straight away.
No.
If we all accumulatively did something small every day just to show love, victory. Please, guys, be the good in the world. Let's be the difference.
Be the
Let's be
change.
godlike. Let's bring happiness. We have it in
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
We have the power to be the change. God bless.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for joining us today. That was Max. And we'll see you again in the next episode.